two more big ideas. Let me pass this to Rob and the team.
Great. Thanks, Jason. Just gonna start sharing. All right. So as Jason mentioned, streets need to be safe, comfortable, and also interesting places for walking and biking. And what makes a street interesting for walking in many cases is exactly what Jason was talking about before, having a mix of building types and a changing scene. As you walk from place to place, your view changes, the experiences around you change, and it's generally just a more interesting experience. So here's a close-up view of the illustrative plan with the area showing the town center that we were showing earlier in the presentation. And if we zoom into this red area, we have a sample of what could be if this area is to be built out. You can see the different colored buildings represent a broad range of housing types. So orange could be small apartment buildings, yellow could be small townhouses, the gray colors are smaller homes on smaller lots, 35 feet, 50 feet, and then the pink color represents the larger houses, lots on 60 feet, 70 feet, 100 feet, and even bigger. And so as you walk down one of these streets, your experience will change along the way, from multifamily housing to smaller homes to bigger homes, and then you come to the arroyos, spaces left preserved in their natural state, and then into even larger homes. And this typically runs from the center of the neighborhood here around a small plaza out to the edge along Mesa Avenue, where we have more of the natural environment and the larger homes and buildings. On the website, we asked, did you walk to school as a child at any point? And this is the result that we got. And it's not really that surprising. Over 80% of the people said, yes, they did. Now, if you were to ask that same question to students today, you'd expect the answer to be inverted, probably around 80%, if not 90 or even 100% of the students saying that they do not walk to school today. And there's a number of reasons for this, but a big reason for that is because how schools are designed today. Go back 30, 50 years, schools were smaller, located centrally in their neighborhoods. They were brought close to the street, and they were a part of the community, a civic feature and something that people were proud of and used for more things than just classrooms. Community events could be held there. The sports fields can be used for community recreation. And they also, while they had parking, it wasn't surrounded by parking. And the streets that led to them could be a little narrower, a little safer for walking, sidewalks, and bike lanes. And so the image shown here is a typical school that we see today. And it's not really a question why many people don't drive or don't walk, and they do drive if they have that option. But schools don't have to be designed this way. They can be designed as an integral part of the neighborhood and connected with the surrounding community. They can become key civic features with key green spaces and still provide plenty of parking for those that need to drive, but they also can be safer and more interesting places, adding variety to a neighborhood that would otherwise just be small or large single-family homes. And the size of the school can also remain quite large, but with careful design, it can become a more integrated and cohesive part of the neighborhood. When we look at the plan for Mesa Vista, we have quite a bit of streets connecting all the different neighborhoods and the blocks into the surrounding developments in Highway 70. And there'll be a wide variety of street types in the ultimate build out of the plan. The existing streets, Highway 70 in the north, Northrise Drive ending along the western border, and tiny bits of Mesa Grande Drive and some new streets in Mesa Grande Estates. But a variety of street types will provide key connections for traffic, making sure they have the capacity needed to prevent congestion or limit congestion, safe places for walking, safe places for biking, and smaller, more intimate streets throughout the neighborhoods. And then along the edges of the arroyos, special conditions can exist for creating and capturing the scenery that exists. And in the wildlife interface zones and other more rural parts of the development, streets can take on a more rural character. On the opposite side of the spectrum, in the town center areas, streets should have a more urban character, perhaps curbless, perhaps a little narrower, in places that really focus on the vitality of having commerce and outside dining and building upon the renderings shown earlier. Here's just a sample section of what one of the larger arterial roads, such as Northrise Drive or Mesa Grande, could look like. While it's likely to change throughout the design process as we get more feedback from members of the community and engineering staff, the key features will remain. The drive lanes for traffic, plenty of space for trees and other native vegetation, as well as to manage stormwater in a more natural, sustainable way, and places for walking and biking. The Elevate Las Cruces plan requires all arterials and collectors to have walking and biking facilities. However, many times they end up just being 4 or 5 extra feet next to the moving vehicles that can be traveling 40 miles per hour and more, which really isn't safe and isn't comfortable for most cyclists. So instead, we're proposing to put side paths along these major roads that are separated with trees to offer some protection, as well as plenty of space to make a comfortable and interesting place to bike and walk. And here's another sample of just what can be done on a slightly smaller street section.